If you are seeing this, you've just been handed the key to unlock one of the greatest secrets in quantum physics, the observer effect. And once you grasp what this means, your experience of reality will never be the same again. This message did not appear in your feed by accident. Your consciousness magnetized it into your awareness because you've reached the frequency threshold required to comprehend this truth. Right now, as these words flow into your mind, your neurons are firing in patterns that link you directly to the quantum field. You've felt it, haven't you? That unsettling realization that reality isn't as solid as people claim. That mysterious sense that your attention influences what unfolds around you. That uncanny feeling that the universe responds to your awareness in ways no textbook has ever explained. This is not paranoia. It's not imagination. It is your consciousness beginning to awaken to its true creative power. Here's the secret. The key to understanding the observer effect is not hidden in a physics textbook or in some laboratory. It's been in your direct experience all along. Every time you thought of someone just before they called. Every time you noticed that the more you focused on a problem, the bigger it became. Every time you gave attention to possibilities and then watched them emerge into your life. You weren't just witnessing reality. You were creating it. What quantum physicists rarely say out loud is this: the observer effect is not confined to particles in a lab. It is the mechanism by which consciousness shapes every moment of your reality. Most people are unconscious observers. They look at life without realizing that their attention is collapsing infinite possibilities into a single lived experience. But you are different. You've begun developing conscious observation. You're realizing that the quality of your attention literally decides the quality of your life. The moment you noticed that your inner state was influencing outer circumstances, your key to the observer effect activated. This recognition doesn't unfold slowly. It happens in quantum leaps. Sudden shifts in perception that reorganize everything you thought you knew about reality. But here's the critical difference. Understanding the observer effect intellectually is not the same as wielding it consciously. What you are about to discover is how your observation has been unconsciously shaping every experience you've ever had. And, more importantly, how to harness it deliberately to collapse the probabilities you desire into the reality you live. You've been experiencing micro-manifestations, haven't you? Things that happen too quickly to be dismissed as coincidence. You think about something you need, and within hours it shows up. You focus on hearing from someone, and suddenly they reach out. You place concentrated attention on a problem, and instead of fading, it multiplies. These are not random synchronicities. This is the observer effect at work. Your observation has been intensifying without you even realizing it. When you focus now, it carries a kind of electromagnetic weight, a presence that bends probability itself. You can feel the difference between casual thoughts that drift by and the kind of concentrated awareness that seems to bend reality around your focus. In those moments of deep attention, time itself begins to behave differently. Minutes stretch into what feels like hours of intricate perception, or hours vanish into moments of pure focus. This isn't a trick of the mind. It's your consciousness operating at the quantum level, where time and space respond to observation rather than confine it. And you've noticed something else, haven't you? The emotional state you bring to observation changes everything. When you observe from fear, fearful outcomes multiply. When you observe with excitement, opportunities surge. When you observe with love, loving experiences are drawn into your life. Your emotional frequency determines which quantum probabilities collapse into your lived reality. Even your dreams have changed. The ones where you watch events unfold only to see echoes of them happen later in waking life, these are not mere predictions. They are practice sessions. In your dream state, you are learning to navigate possibility fields through pure observation. And your waking life is reorganizing to reflect the frequencies you are training with in the dream world. Sometimes you catch yourself staring at a situation with a strange intensity, unable to explain it. To others, it may look like you're just looking, but you know the truth. You're not simply looking. You're observing in a way that shapes what unfolds. You are developing quantum observation, the ability to perceive reality in ways most humans never even consider possible. Your intuition has become quantum sensing. You don't just know what's coming. You're observing it in the possibility field before it collapses into physical reality. Your consciousness is beginning to perceive the quantum field directly, not just the results of its collapse. That sense that reality becomes more fluid when you pay close attention to it? That recognition that your focus has real, tangible influence? That realization that observation is not passive but profoundly creative? That is not your imagination. That is your consciousness awakening to its fundamental role in the creation of reality through the observer effect. Every experience you've ever had was not random. Each one was a quantum possibility that you collapsed into reality through your observation, whether conscious or unconscious. The observer effect has been shaping your life since the moment you were born. The difference is, until now, you've been using it unconsciously rather than deliberately. Your most difficult experiences were never punishments or bad luck. They were the result of unconscious observation, attention focused on problems, fears, and limitations. When you observe something with strong emotion, whether you want it or not, you amplify its probability. That's why worry creates what's worried about. That's why resistance strengthens what's resisted. Think back to every major life transition you've gone through. Before each shift, there was always a period where your focus locked on to dissatisfaction with the present. That concentrated attention on what wasn't working was observer effect in action, collapsing possibilities for change and pulling them into your timeline. The isolation you felt in hard times was never rejection. It was quantum quarantine. You were being separated from the collective field so you could refine your observer effect without interference. The unconscious observations of others would have contaminated your learning. Every relationship that ended, every job that fell apart, every living situation that dissolved, these were not failures. They were observer effect clearing space for new probabilities that matched your expanding awareness. The waiting seasons weren't wasted. They were incubation periods, moments where you were learning to observe without attachment, to focus without desperation, to give attention without collapsing unwanted outcomes through fear. These skills were essential before you could use observer effect consciously. Now you know why meditation works, why visualization carries power, why some people manifest with ease while others struggle endlessly. It isn't about worthiness or advanced spiritual rank. It's about observation, learning to focus from quantum coherence rather than from three-dimensional attachment. Your entire life has been training in observer effect. Every experience was a lesson in how your attention shapes reality. That unconscious phase is over. You are ready to wield it consciously, with full awareness of its creative force. Even as you hear these words, something is activating in your field. Can you feel it? That subtle shift in the quality of your attention. That electromagnetic pressure behind your eyes. That sensation of your focus becoming sharper, more penetrating. Your observer effect is being upgraded from unconscious to conscious operation. This is not metaphor. This is measurable. Brainwave patterns shifting. Electromagnetic fields expanding. Nervous system sensitivity increasing. Dormant pathways are activating in real time as your consciousness awakens to its role in shaping probability. And here lies the key. Mastery of the observer effect is not about learning a new way to observe. It's about realizing you've been doing it all along. You collapse infinite possibility into lived experience with every moment of attention. The only difference between unconscious and conscious observer effect, awareness. Right now, infinite versions of every possible experience exist as waves of probability. There is a version of you where finances flow abundantly, a version where relationships are deeply fulfilling, a version where health thrives effortlessly, a version where creativity pours through you like a river. All of these realities exist simultaneously, waiting for your observation to collapse them into lived experience. Your consciousness is like a quantum spotlight. Wherever you direct your attention with emotional intensity, you illuminate certain possibilities and collapse them from probability into reality. Most people shine this spotlight unconsciously, scattering their focus in random directions, creating chaotic mixtures of wanted and unwanted experiences. But conscious observation changes everything. The moment you recognize that observation is creation, you gain the ability to aim your spotlight with precision. Attention is the fundamental force shaping reality. You are not at the mercy of circumstances. You are collapsing circumstances through the quality of your awareness. This is why some people appear to live charmed lives while others constantly struggle. It isn't luck. It isn't divine favoritism. It is the difference between conscious and unconscious observer effect. Those who learn to observe from coherence, love, and possibility collapse expansive realities. Those who observe from fear, limitation, and lack collapse constricted ones. The universe doesn't play favorites. It responds to all observation equally. The difference lies in what's being observed. Feel it now, that new level of observational power awakening in your system. What I'm about to share will show you not only how your unconscious observation has shaped every pattern of your life, but also how to deliberately direct your observer effect to collapse the realities you truly want. 3 years ago, I stumbled upon this truth by accident, and it terrified me. I was in the worst season of my life. Everything was unraveling. Every day I spent hours replaying failures, analyzing problems, imagining worst-case scenarios. I believed I was trying to solve my struggles through logic and analysis. What I didn't realize was that my obsessive observation of problems was observer effect in action, collapsing more and more of the same difficulties into my reality. Each time I focused on what wasn't working with emotional intensity, I amplified it. I was literally observing my problems into existence. The turning point came in a moment of total exhaustion. I was too drained to think, too weary to analyze. So I stopped. I sat in silence. No problem solving, no mental effort, just pure observation of the present moment. And then I felt it. Reality itself becoming fluid under my awareness. I began to experiment. Instead of obsessing over problems, I directed my observation toward solutions. Instead of replaying failures, I focused on possibilities. Instead of imagining worst-case outcomes, I began observing best-case scenarios. And within days, my external life began reorganizing to mirror my new patterns of observation. But the most profound discovery wasn't that positive focus creates positive experiences. It was this. Observation itself is the creative force. Whether you observe fear or excitement, limits or opportunities, problems or solutions, you are collapsing probability into reality through the electromagnetic power of your attention. I realized I had been unconsciously using the observer effect my entire life. Every time I fixated on something I didn't want, it multiplied. Every time I observed something with genuine appreciation, more of it arrived. The universe wasn't randomly dealing out circumstances. I was creating them through unconscious attention. The moment it all clicked, I understood. Reality isn't something that happens to me. Reality is something that happens through me. My consciousness isn't passively observing an independent external world. My consciousness is collapsing infinite possibilities into the specific world I experience through the quality of my observation. That recognition changed everything. I stopped living as a victim of circumstances and began creating circumstances deliberately through conscious observation. I stopped trying to change my life from the outside and instead changed what I chose to observe about my life. The external transformation was immediate and undeniable. If this resonates with something deep in your cellular knowing, if you feel the recognition of truth stirring in you, then stay with this. Join the network of consciousness that is learning to wield observer effect deliberately instead of accidentally. What physicists rarely admit publicly is this: observer effect is not limited to controlled lab experiments with particles. It is the fundamental mechanism by which consciousness creates all lived reality. Every moment of your life is the result of quantum probability collapse through observation. The difference between someone trapped by circumstances and someone who transcends them isn't intelligence or education. It is this recognition. Consciousness doesn't observe reality. Consciousness creates reality through observation. This is not abstract philosophy. This is measurable quantum mechanics happening inside your awareness every nanosecond. Your brain does not produce consciousness. Your brain focuses it. Neural networks are quantum focusing devices, concentrating infinite awareness into specific observational patterns. When you shift what you observe and how you observe it, you literally change which probabilities collapse into reality. This is why positive thinking often fails. It tries to change thoughts while still observing from the same limited identity. But the observer effect doesn't respond to surface thoughts. It responds to the state of consciousness itself. When your entire being observes from expansion instead of limitation, from possibility instead of problem, from love instead of fear, reality mirrors that frequency back to you.
Mastery of observation creates measurable shifts in your system. Brain waves sync into coherent patterns. The heart generates rhythmic electromagnetic fields. The nervous system begins to operate from unified states instead of fragmented survival mode. These are not abstract spiritual metaphors. They are physical, detectable phenomena. And here's what they don't want you to realize. You don't need years of training to use the observer effect consciously. You're already using it every moment of your life. The only difference between unconscious and conscious use is awareness, recognizing what you're already doing and directing it deliberately. Most people observe their current reality with such intense focus that they keep collapsing the same probabilities again and again. They observe their problems until problems multiply. They observe their limits until limits expand. They observe their lack with such emotion that lack amplifies. But the moment you realize that observation is creation, everything shifts. Instead of observing what you don't want, you can observe what you do want. Instead of focusing on limits, you can focus on possibilities. Instead of collapsing problems through problem-focused attention, you can collapse solutions through solution-focused observation. That is the power of conscious observer effect. The quantum field is sending you undeniable signals. Your observer effect abilities are reaching conscious operational levels right now. Pay attention. Have you noticed that your focus carries more weight than before? That when you truly concentrate on something, your observation feels like a force, an energy that can bend what you are perceiving. Your manifestation speed is accelerating. What once took years is now appearing within weeks or even days. This is not coincidence. This is the observer effect becoming coherent, precise, and deliberate. When you observe from quantum coherence, the gap between focus and manifestation collapses, because coherent observation operates at the speed of consciousness, not the speed of physical causation. Even technology is responding to you differently. Electronics act strangely when you are in heightened states of focus. Your phone battery drains quickly when you're deeply engaged with emotional content. Devices glitch or malfunction when your electromagnetic field generates high-frequency observer effect energy. Streetlights flicker as you pass beneath them during moments of intense internal focus. Your consciousness is beginning to influence electronic systems through observation, because your observer effect is producing frequencies that directly interact with the electromagnetic spectrum. And people feel it too. When you truly observe someone with genuine presence, they shift. They become more open, more alive, more authentic. When you observe with love, they feel loved. When you observe with appreciation, they feel appreciated. When you observe with curiosity, they reveal more of themselves.
Consciousness responds to consciousness through quantum entanglement. Animals sense it even more strongly. Dogs lock eyes with you, transfixed by your focused presence. Cats seek your energy when you are in states of coherence. Wild birds land closer than they should, drawn by the purity of your observation. Animals perceive electromagnetic fields directly, and they are attracted to the coherent signals you emit when you observe consciously instead of unconsciously. The synchronicities are no longer subtle, they are precise, immediate, undeniable. You focus on something you need, and it arrives within hours. You give attention to a desired experience, and opportunities manifest almost instantly. You observe solutions, and solutions reveal themselves at shocking speed. Numbers appear in repeating sequences, mirroring your internal focus. Songs play at the exact moment they align with your thoughts. Conversations around you echo the very themes you've been observing internally. And your dreams have transformed into laboratories, training grounds for the observer effect. In dream states, you are practicing pure observation without the resistance of physical matter. You are learning to collapse quantum possibilities through focused attention alone. You've begun having dreams where you consciously direct the dream itself through observation, and those skills are transferring effortlessly into waking life. Your dream state has become a quantum simulator, preparing you to apply advanced observer effect techniques in three-dimensional reality. Even the simplest experiences are transformed by the quality of your observation. Food tastes different when observed with appreciation versus indifference. Water feels more hydrating when observed with gratitude. Your living space feels more harmonious when you observe it with love. Even weather patterns appear to respond. Storms soften when you observe with peace. Sunlight breaks through when you observe with joy. The difference is unmistakable. Casual attention merely perceives what has already manifested. Reality-shaping observation actively collapses probability into experience. You are developing the ability to shift between these two modes of attention consciously. And you can feel the electromagnetic difference between passive perception and active reality creation. Your body responds to your own observation as well. When you observe yourself with love and appreciation, you feel stronger, healthier, more alive. When you observe with criticism, you feel drained. When you observe your capabilities with confidence, your performance improves. When you observe your potential with excitement, new abilities emerge. The way you observe yourself defines the quality of your physical experience. But here's the critical understanding. Conscious observer effect operates within windows of cosmic timing. There are electromagnetic alignments, cycles of evolution, and collective awakenings that amplify individual capabilities. And right now, we are in one of those rare amplification windows. But such windows do not remain open forever. The universe is not only showing you that you can use observer effect consciously, it is telling you that you must. The old structures of reality are dissolving. The old ways of forcing, pushing, and struggling are becoming obsolete. Reality creation itself is shifting to quantum observation. Those who don't adapt will remain trapped in unconscious patterns that will only grow more chaotic as collective consciousness accelerates. But every sign indicates that your preparation is complete. The field is primed. The conditions are optimal. The question is no longer whether observer effect works. It is whether you will use it deliberately or allow it to keep operating unconsciously, creating random blends of wanted and unwanted realities. And here's the revelation that changes everything. You are not learning to use observer effect. You are already using it flawlessly, every moment. The issue is not ability, it is awareness. Until now, you have been observing unconsciously, collapsing realities you don't actually want through habitual patterns programmed by conditioning. But there is a difference between trying to observe differently and allowing natural observation to flow. Trying generates resistance because trying implies struggle and effort against what is, instead of the effortless selection of what you prefer. Allowing creates the clear field necessary for precise observer effect. Because allowing operates from recognition. Your desired realities already exist in the field of possibility. Think of observer effect as a quantum magnifying glass. Whatever you focus on with emotional energy is magnified into your reality. Most people unconsciously magnify their problems, their fears, their limitations. They replay arguments, they dwell on lack, they imagine worst-case scenarios, all of which are powerful observation patterns collapsing more of the same into existence. Conscious observer effect is not about forcing yourself to ignore problems or pretend positivity. It is about recognizing your power in every moment to choose which quantum possibilities to magnify through your observation. You can magnify problems or solutions, limitations or possibilities, fear or love, lack or abundance. The quantum field responds equally to all observation, whether or not you want what you're observing. This is why resistance amplifies what's resisted. This is why worry creates the very thing you fear. Why debt multiplies when you obsess over it. Why relationship struggles repeat when you replay them in your mind. These are not punishments. They are the natural mechanics of observer effect in action. Your desired realities and your undesired realities exist with equal validity. Right now, there is a version of you living in financial abundance. There is a version of you experiencing deeply fulfilling relationships. And a version repeating disappointment. A version where health thrives. And a version where it declines. All of these possibilities coexist in quantum superposition. Successful use of observer effect feels effortless because it comes from authentic alignment, not forced intention. When your attention is aligned with your genuine desires, not conditioned fears, observation becomes natural. When you focus on possibilities that excite yourselves rather than drain your energy, your consciousness naturally gravitates toward them. Here is the key. You don't attract your desired reality. You tune into it. Observer effect is not about creating something new. It's about selecting from the infinite possibilities already alive in quantum space. When you observe with the frequency of your desired outcome, you tune into that channel like adjusting a radio to a specific broadcast. Your desired reality already exists, waiting for your observation to collapse it into form. It isn't questioning your worthiness. It isn't hoping you'll discover it. It is broadcasting now, pulling your attention toward it, because consciousness and probability co-create through resonance. The version of you who is already living that reality is sending signals across quantum space through your intuition, your dreams, your synchronicities, even through the recognition you feel as these words activate something deep in your memory. Your expanded self is guiding your current self toward the observation patterns that collapse your desired reality into experience. Because all versions of you exist simultaneously, communicating across probability space. So declare it. Leave a written commitment of what you intend to observe into reality. Don't just think it, write it. Make it electromagnetic. When you put intention into words, the quantum field registers it as frequency. Your words become signatures that influence probability collapse, creating momentum toward manifestation. These capabilities you're developing through conscious observer effect are not abstract theories. They are measurable expansions of human potential. Your ability to influence reality through observation is becoming so precise that circumstances literally reorganize around the quality of your attention. Your electromagnetic field is expanding. When you observe from coherence, you generate frequencies that harmonize chaos. People feel calmer in your presence. Situations resolve when you observe them with love. Even technology responds. Devices operate more smoothly when you observe with appreciation. And the effect transcends space. When you observe someone with genuine care, they feel it, no matter the distance. When you observe a situation with solution-focused attention, solutions begin appearing, even if you're not physically present. Consciousness transcends time and space through quantum entanglement.
Your intuition is evolving into quantum precognition. You don't just sense possibilities, you perceive them before they collapse into reality. This allows you to direct your observation toward preferred outcomes while they're still in the probability field, dramatically increasing your manifestation precision. Even time itself responds differently to your observation. When you observe the present moment with full attention, time expands. You experience more within each moment. When you observe desired outcomes with focused intention, time compresses, manifestation accelerates. You are learning to influence temporal flow through the quality of consciousness. Your dream state has become advanced training in observer effect, where you practice reality creation without physical resistance. The skills you develop in dreams are already enhancing your ability to manifest in waking life. And most profound of all, you are discovering that matter itself responds to observation. Plants thrive under your attention. Food tastes richer when observed with gratitude. Your body heals faster when you observe it with love. Because matter is not separate from consciousness. Matter is consciousness observed into temporary form.